Digital transformation is more than just a big technology change program. It's about equipping an organization with the skill set, mindset and capability to become change ready, to become adaptive and agile and be able to take advantage of technology enabled opportunities at a growing pace. Now, because of this, it takes a different mindset on how an organization needs to act and behave to become change ready. The traditional change models give us pointers and indicators, but we then have to adapt them for this new way of working. So today I'm going to talk about the change models and some of the behaviors that we see there, and some of the ideas that other organizations are already implementing to help them deal with some of these behavioral challenges and become change ready organization. So I'm Chris Buxton and this is my Digital Insights. So as I say, digital transformation is more than just an individual technology change project or program. Even though there's multiple components of it, it's more than just delivering technology. It's about building a change-ready organization that is adaptive and can understand and take advantage of technology-enabled opportunities as it sees them. Now, I think because of this, it means that we have to think about change differently and how a change-ready organization looks, operates and behaves. But the traditional change models, I think, give us some really good insights into how we need to think about change in an organization and some of the things we can do to help us become change ready and think about the behaviors and how we need to operate. Now today I'm going to talk through three of these models, the Kubler-Ross model, also known as the 7 stages of grief, the Bridges transition model and the ADKAR model. So these three models are more people-based models. Although there are multiple other traditional change models, I think it's regarded that these three are largely more people-based. And as we always keep saying, digital transformation is more about people and culture than it is about technology. So I think these three models actually give us some quite good insights that we can use to help us design some strategies on how an organization can operate and become change ready. So we're going to start with the Kubler-Ross. So Kubler-Ross, also known as the 7 stages of grief, it talks about a person's emotional and capability journey through a life event. Now, it's not just technology change or digital transformation or anything else. It's actually any major life event. It could be a health diagnosis, it could be an economic issue in the family, it could be a loss of a house or moving house, loss of a partner or any sort of activity like that. But it talks about an emotional and capability journey. So if we're to put that on a graph against time, we have the time on one, and the emotion and capability on the other axis. What Kubler-Ross says is that there's an initial downturn as a person struggles to come to terms with the life event, the change or the activity, before they've come to terms with it, and then they can fully embrace the new state and move forward with confidence and with a renewed empowerment, I think, in that environment. And it talks about a person going through 7 stages. So it starts off with shock. So in these early stages, you haven't really come to terms with them. There's very little understanding of what this really means. What is it actually that's going to happen to you, and what are you going to do in the future? So this is coming from very much a sense of uncertainty and a lack of understanding of what's happening. They then go into a stage of denial. So this is about denying the event's going to happen. So if it's a health diagnosis that could be perhaps terminal, denying that it's going to eventuate in that. If it's a change, or organisational change, it's denying the fact that A, that the change is necessary, and B, that it's actually going to happen. So this is, we've talked about this before. It never happened last time. A new manager will come along soon and we won't have to do this. I don't see any reason why we need to change in the first place, because we've been doing it like this for so long and it works really well. So all of these are all about denying the outcome, denying the change that you're about to go through. Moving forward from there, there's then a sense of frustration. That the change is being pushed on a person, that they don't feel fully empowered and engaged in that change. They still don't really understand the why. And I think part of this big area here is all about a lack of understanding and a lack of real buy-in for the change activity by the individual. So the frustration there, you start to see, why have I got to change? What's in it for me? Also, to a certain extent, a reaching out to other areas of the organisation. We wouldn't have to change if only IT fixed that widget or made the network go faster. And all these other things that could be changed alongside. I think in digital transformation, these are all really good conversations to have, because all of those areas that get highlighted through the frustration phase are things that have to change as part of your digital transformation. So it's a really good insight to show the holistic nature of digital transformation and all the different things that need to change along the way. You then go into a bit of a depression phase. Now this is coming to really starting to come to terms with the fact now that things are going to change. You're really at the lowest point because you still don't know what the future holds for you. There's still quite a high degree of uncertainty and a high degree of nervousness of the person. In normal change circles, this is all about engagement. This is all about communication and reassuring staff that there's going to be a good outcome here. That actually the real reason is why you're doing this, what really is the point, and that sort of reassurance for staff that there's going to be a good outcome here for them, whatever that may be. As we start to come out the other side, though, staff are becoming more comfortable with the fact that things are going to change. They've got over this depressive state. They're now starting to engage in the change activity in a meaningful way. And the first one, we start to see experimentation. And this might be staff exploring ideas. It might be them providing feedback on initiatives or ideas that are going on in the environment. But staff now are starting to think about the new state and how they could shape it and support the organisation to behave and operate differently. From there, we start to make some decisions. Now, from a staff point of view, this is about decisions in the way that they're going to operate in the future, the way that they're going to behave. It might also mean it's a decision that says that actually they don't want to come with you on your change journey. But they're making decisions to reconcile the change activity for themselves. And then once you get through that, you're into the integration phase. And really at this point, they're fully integrated, they're fully bought into the change, they're starting to integrate the new way of working into their business as usual activities, and they're really starting to be on board. Now, there's a number of things I think that you see from this sort of life cycle, is that some of these early activities and these early emotional states are all fairly negative. They're really staff starting to come to terms with the loss of their current process, the loss of their current way of working, and what this might mean for them. They're dealing with not a lot of information, they're dealing with uncertainty, and they're dealing with the negative emotions that uncertainty creates for them. Now, in the Bridges model, up until this point, Bridge talks about an ending. Ironically, for Bridge, the change process starts with an ending. And when Bridge talks about ending, what it talks about is letting go of the current state, letting go of the past, letting go of previous ways of working, previous mindset, previous capability, to get the person ready for the change, to get the person in a mindset so that they can absorb a new way of working and absorb the new capabilities and new information that they need to digest. What Bridge then talks about is a transition. And this is the transition into the new way of working. I think in mapping it across to Kubler-Ross, we're into the experimentation and the decision phase, where a person is, or an organization is starting to come up with new ways of working. They're starting to finalize what the new solution looks like, and they're putting in place the capabilities necessary. And then in Bridges terminology, we're into the new beginnings. We're into the new way of working, the new way of operating, and the new capabilities. Similarly, if we map the ADKAR model, ADKAR is an acronym, stands for awareness, desire, ability, knowledge, and reinforcement. Yeah, sorry about that. So it starts with awareness. And again, when you map it across the Kubler-Ross, it's very similar in these early stages where it's all about information awareness. It's all about people understanding the change they're about to embark on and being aware of how they can contribute and how they can participate. Desire and the ability and knowledge starts to grow in this phase against the life cycle. And then the reinforcement is the new beginning in the Bridges model. But very much it follows a very similar mindset where it's actually about preparing staff for the change in the first place and making them aware of why you need to change, the benefits and opportunity you're trying to take advantage of, and then allowing them time to become accustomed with the change and contribute and participate in the change activity and then grow into the change themselves. Now, this is quite important, I think, because if you were to overlay a product mindset, one of the traps I think a lot of organisations fall into is that this early life cycle activity is we're going to race through the planning as quick as we possibly can. We're going to work out what we're going to do. We'll get a business case done, and then we're away to implementation, which means this early phase is where you're asking staff for ideas on what the future needs to look like. You're gathering requirements. You're making design decisions and solution decisions. And in government terms, you're running procurement processes and signing up a vendor while your staff are still in the negative mindset phase based on uncertainty and really not understanding where they need to go to. So you're making these long-term design decisions around the solution you're going to implement down here while your staff are still in a negative mindset and still haven't come to terms with it. And this isn't just about extending timeframes, because this does just stretch out. And the longer you make it, the longer this goes, the longer that goes, the longer that goes. It's not just about we can extend and we'll just compress that phase. So there are some challenges along the way. And I think because of this behavior, what we actually see is projects that talk about innovation and transformation deliver very similar solutions, because if you're in this early mindset where you're focused on how do I limit the sense of loss, how do I try and retain my current state of being, you're going to come up with requirements that's going to reinforce your current process. They're going to reinforce what you want today, and the requirements you're going to ask for is I'm going to ask for a faster widget. I'm going to ask for a bigger database. I'm going to ask for a better laptop or something like that enables me to do my job a little bit better, but doesn't really impact the way that I operate and my behaviors and the way that I work. And I think it's some of that we have to start tackling. So one of the initiatives that I see is the Creative HQ Accelerator Program that spends a lot of time with organizations working through these early life cycle activities to understand the problem, to understand what is the outcome they're actually trying to see and what is the root cause problem they're trying to solve. Because as well, in this early stage, people will be focused predominantly on symptoms, not root cause problems, which means the solution you end up with might treat a symptom, but might not actually solve the underlying root cause problem that would, if you could solve that, would lead to significant performance improvements or a enhanced customer experience. So part of what the Creative HQ Accelerator Program does is spend a lot of time with organizations, and it's a 12-week program of activity that really thoroughly understands the problem statement before it starts to think about ideation and starts to think about solutions. So it almost goes through these lifecycle activities, working with teams to thoroughly understand a problem, carry out experimentation and ideation to actually think about what are the various options that you have available to you to answer this problem statement before making some decisions about a solution and picking the best one to move forward with. As I say, it's a structured program that I think helps groups and teams work through these life cycle activities in a methodological way that allows you to build a bit of structure around here. Now, as you move forward, though, it's quite expensive. If every time you want to do a change, you've got to do a 12-week accelerator program every time you want to implement a change. And I think this is where Agile comes in for me. I think Agile isn't just a software development methodology. It's not just about daily stand-ups and retrospectives and those sorts of things. It's about a mindset to change, and it's about incremental change and incremental delivery. So if you haven't changed for a very long time, your sense of shock and denial is going to be pretty high. And as you move forward, your pit of depression is going to be quite low because you've really become ingrained. It's been part of your way of working for so long. You're embedded in that way of working. So your sense of loss is considerable because you're not sure of anything else. So working through that, using Agile principles, the more you can turn it into an incremental delivery, the scale of change is reduced. So the smaller you can make the change, the lower that sense of denial, less depression, less of the emotional impact, less of the impact on the person, and you can actually incrementally evolve and transform your organization without carrying a lot of the negative emotional impact that change can deliver. And I think because of that, it just enables you to think differently, and using these models enables you to think differently. Incidentally, I think one of the aspects as well is about awareness through this as well. And as I keep coming back to, digital transformation is about taking advantage and really being able to leverage technology-enabled opportunities. And I think I used a key word earlier, awareness. If you've been doing a job in a particular way for a long time and you embark in change, the solutions and the ideas and the problem statement you're going to come up with is embedded in what you're aware of. It's embodied in your current way of working. And what we want to be doing is thinking about the broader opportunities. We want to be thinking about the global world of digital and what are some of the different opportunities. So getting to this point where you can start to explore and experiment and really become aware of different ways of working and different solutions is necessary. Otherwise, as I say, you're going to implement a faster widget. You're going to implement something that really does what you do today, but in a slightly better way. And digital transformation is all about technology-enabled opportunities to do business better, become more customer-centric and more customer-focused to deliver better outcomes. So these change models, as I say, they give us a very good insight into how we can think about change and how we need to structure our activities. And it's all about, for me, flattening this curve as much as we possibly can so that change becomes easier on people, it's less emotional, and we can build capability in an incremental way to take advantage of these opportunities. So I'm going to be talking more about digital transformation as I talk forward. Really, I've just given a brief overview today of some change models and how it can impact change and people's emotional state through that journey. If you'd like to see more, subscribe to my channel. I've been Chris Buxton, and this is one of my digital insights.